Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brewing Knowledge Friday. And every time we meet, I like repeating the purpose of why we are here. The purpose of being here is to answer the question, why do we go to school? I'm not sure whether you ask yourself that question every time. And the important part is which school? That's the second part. And third part is what will you finally take away from the school where you go? So today we'll try and answer this question from our perspective and we'll try and find out what education does. We are reading the chapter from My Good School. If you have the book, it's page number 103 of the physical book. You can see the page number on the screen also. My Good School, where passion meets education. What education does? I believe there is a hero in us all that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride. Mike Sokwon Ren. I will repeat this quote, it's an important quote. I believe there's a hero in us, all that keeps us honest, first thing, gives us strength, second thing, makes us noble, third thing, and finally allows us to die with pride. That's what education does. So when you finally sleep, you sleep with a sense of fulfillment. And no one can measure this impact. You will also not be there for reflection, but you will leave footprints on the sand. And that's why we are here. Because people before us, हमारे से पहले जो लोग यहाँ थे, वो गर्व से जी के गए और हमारे लिए एक मार्गदर्शक बन गए. अब इसी मार्ग को हमने आगे ले जाना है, इसी दुनिया को आगे बढ़ाना है और हमको आगे चलना है. Is going to school at the core of good education? Why do successful people walk tall? It all leads us to explore how we build self confidence and make success a habit. An excellent institution, whether a family or even a school, should help us walk with pride and build our emotional quotient. I feel education should empower us to walk with confidence. When we look at schools that work to deliver education, we find that not many will help us achieve the key purpose. As these institutions look at education as a commodity and sell it to us as a package. The main motive of most of these schools is to run a sustainable business. This often will not let them deliver value and meet our purpose of helping us build confidence. The school may give us literacy, but this is not what education is all about. In these two pages, a lot has been said. Think about it. Education has helped us to make me who I am. Through education, I learned more about my strengths and weaknesses. It helped me develop both occupations and vocations. It gave me confidence and helped me to see the world as an approachable place. Evaluating people versus their education. अब आप देखेंगे कि हम लोगों को उनकी पढ़ाई लिखाई के साथ कैसे नाप तोल के देख सकते हैं. In what does it mean to be well educated? Aleph Khan asks, does the phrase well educated refer to the quality of the schooling you received or to something about you? Does it denote what you were taught or what you learned? And remember, If the term applies to what you know and can do, you could be poorly educated despite having received the top notch education. However, if the term refers to the quality of schooling, then we would have to conclude that a lot of well educated people sat through the lessons that barely registered, or at least are hazy to the point of irrelevance a few years later. According to the panelists of the Askworth Forum at Harvard, in order to consider educated, students should leave school with a deep understanding of themselves and how they fit into the world and have learned what some call soft skills, complex problem solving, creativity, entrepreneurship, the ability to manage themselves, and the ability to be lifelong learners. As Professor Fernando Reimers, who moderated the panel, summarized, there is a disconnect between how education gets delivered in the classroom and the common desire of students to become good, well rounded people. How do we empower young people to walk with confidence? This is the dilemma that will never be resolved, as we all have our very personal views and beliefs. The culture, stereotypes, and the work of generations cloud our minds and often make us feel incomplete and demolish our confidence. How do we overcome negativity and build our self confidence? Learning is an integral part of life, and education should not only stimulate it, but free us and empower us to find ourselves. I've often said that leadership is finding yourself, and a leader is a person who can walk with confidence. Education should help us be the leader we want to be and not cage our thoughts and make us hostage to a curriculum. Dale Carnegie shows us how to develop poise. Poise का मतलब है आप इज्जत से चल सकें. Gain self confidence, improve memory, make our meaning clear, begin and end a talk, interest and charm our audience, improve our diction and win an argument without making enemies. ये है मतलब एजुकेशन का. एजुकेशन का मतलब नहीं है कि आपको केवल एग्जाम पास करना है. एजुकेशन का मतलब है आप आत्मसम्मान से और अपने बलबूते पे सिर ऊंचा करके अपने पांव पे तसल्ली से चल सके. In this best-selling book, How to Develop Self-Confidence and Influence People by Public Speaking, he offers hundreds of practical and valuable tips on influencing the important people in your life, your friends, your customers, your business associates, and your employees. This book has been tested and used successfully by millions of people over the world. So please get a copy of Dale Carnegie's book and read it. It will change your life, I promise you. Our education process should help us walk tall. We should be able to understand our inner self and express our heart with the effective use of our intelligence. Education will only be complete when we follow our heart, stand on our feet, and walk with our heads held high. Let's mark this. Meenakshi, please pick this up.
Yes,
The
sir.
mind thus must be empowered and not merely filled with information like bits and bytes in the CPU of a computer. Over the years, mind mapping has been extensively studied, and it has been found that verbalization often devalues the core of learning, and that the written word seems to be the only way to grow literacy, and this itself is the biggest challenge. Rote learning, that is verbalization. और पढ़ना लिखना जाना, उसको अब लिटरेसी कहते हैं. नो, there is more to education. The economist Tyler Cowen speculates men are born peace, but education gives you a peer group, a self image, and some skills as well. Getting an education is like becoming a marine. Men need to be made into marines. मरीन्स कौन होते हैं? जो डिसिप्लिन होते हैं, नेवी में काम करते हैं और कॉन्फिडेंस से सब कुछ रिजॉल्व कर लेते हैं, अपने मन और अपने दिमाग को तुलना में रख के. By choosing many years of education, you are telling yourself that you stand on one side of the social divide. The education itself drums that truth into you. Our minds are by far the greatest mechanism we can ever possess, yet we hardly take notice of it. My friend and author Ted Falconer shared with me a vision. We are now engaged in promoting the creative infinity mind. That is the mystic of scientific wonderland, a renaissance that humanity has hardly embarked upon, being at an early age in its evolution. A single dimensioned verbal mind that is spiritual poverty stricken, lacking beauty, creativity, and imagination is still hampering the world. Education as it stands today kills creativity and makes us our mere verbalizers, taking from us the opportunity to be great visualizers. ये दो words हैं, verbalizers और visualizers. हमारा मकसद क्या है ये सब सेशन करने के लिए? रीडिंग, रिफ्लेक्शन, रिलेशनशिप. इसमें कहीं भी आप वर्बलाइजर्स की रिफ्लेक्शन नहीं देखेंगे, छवि नहीं देखेंगे. रीडिंग में वर्बलाइजर्स होंगे नहीं क्योंकि आप रीडिंग खुद के लिए कर रहे हैं. कोई आपको ये नहीं कह रहा कि ये चैप्टर आप याद करें और इसको बार बार पढ़ें और बार बार याद करें. आप रीडिंग कर रहे हैं, मैंने कहीं कुछ लिखा था, ताकि आप उसका इमोशन समझ सकें, ताकि आप उसका महत्व समझ सकें, ताकि आपकी सोच बड़ी हो. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. जब आपकी सोच बड़ी होगी तो आप आगे के बारे में सोच सकेंगे, आप दूरंदेशी बन सकेंगे. वो है विजुअलाइजर्स. इंटेलेक्चुअल एबिलिटी रेफर्स टू कंटेंट एंड द लेवल ऑफ कॉग्निशन. व्हाट एंड हाउ मच. Cognitive style reflects manner or mode of cognition. How? The term cognitive style is associated with stable trait-like consistency in personal approach to attending, perceiving, and thinking. Or cognitive styles are particularly personality determined modes of perceiving, remembering, thinking, and problem solving. Another definition. Cognitive styles, सोचने के तरीके, represent stable traits that distinguish the learners according to consistencies in interacting with the environment. Cognitive styles might be understood better by comparing them to construct cognitive ability within a dichotomy based conceptual framework. Don't bother about this paragraph. केवल सोच बड़ी होनी चाहिए. We will only walk with confidence when we begin to understand ourselves. This is the key, if you ask me. And education is only we will only walk with confidence when we begin to understand ourselves. And education is only one of the tools for us to find our own self. Education must free, this is important, must free our mind and not enslave us to a system. We not only need IQ, but most of all, a great level of EQ. We only walk with confidence when we are emotionally strong. And this is what we need at the core of any learning delivered by any institution. We will need the strength of spiritual insight to support our ardor. Find the meaning of ardor. Let's see what the meaning of ardor is. It's an important word here. Passion. Rebuff. आपको कुछ रोक नहीं सकता आगे चलने के लिए, और ये तब होगा जब आप स्पिरिचुअली साउंड होंगे. स्पिरिचुअली साउंड आप कब होते हैं? जब आप इमोशनली स्ट्रांग होते हैं. क्या एजुकेशन ये कर पा रही है? ये सवाल आपके लिए. Have we read this chapter before, School Bell? Yeah, we have read it. So let me just share the sheet. This is the reading sheet which we are following. It's called the Brewing Knowledge Friday Reader. We are not reading the chapters per se in a sequence, but in a way that we can take away some deep thinking. आप यहाँ देखेंगे 23 मई को एक चैप्टर लिस्टेड है, व्हाट एजुकेशन डज, जो हमने अभी किया. एजुकेशन हेल्प्स यू फाइंड योरसेल्फ, एजुकेशन मेक्स यू इमोशनली स्ट्रांग, एंड एजुकेशन मेक्स यू अ स्पिरिचुअल पर्सन. आध्यात्मिकता ये बहुत जरूरी चीज है. मैं यहाँ पे 1 मिनट के लिए रुकूंगा और सांस लूंगा और आपसे पूछूंगा. किसी ने मेरे से कोई सवाल पूछना है? मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूं हिंदी और अंग्रेजी दोनों ऑडियंस को साथ लेके चलूं. ये मीटिंग है तो आप अनम्यूट करके पूछ सकते हैं. प्लीज आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस. फ्राइडे और सैटरडे में यही फर्क है. सैटरडे को कोई सवाल नहीं पूछ सकता, फ्राइडे को डायलॉग ओपन है. दैट इज व्हाई वी आर कॉलिंग दिस ब्रूइंग नॉलेज. आप में से कोई अगर हमारे को बताना चाहे कि एजुकेशन का महत्व क्या है, आप क्या सोचते हैं एजुकेशन क्या होता है, कोई इस सवाल का जवाब देना चाहेगा? देवगन सर, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे बिफोर आई रीड द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर?
Yeah, yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you read out just now, because some of the words which I picked up from what you were quoting. One of the things is that men are when they are born, they are beasts, and then education, sort of fine tunes them, and it reminded me of the book Lord of the Flies.
Absolutely.
And that is exactly what happened in the Lord of the Flies, when these children they crash onto an island and there are no adults, and they become absolutely wild and even kill one of them.
Yeah.
And the other thing which is very, very important is what again came to my mind is what in 1935, when Doon School had opened, what Mr. Foote, the first headmaster of the Doon School, said. And he said that if after full schooling, a child cannot differentiate between what is right and what is wrong, he's had no education. And that is what exactly it means by the inner self. Inner self is your conscience. That if your conscience doesn't prick you, if you are educated and you're doing wrong, then there is something very, very seriously wrong with the kind of education you've had. And of course, it goes on to talk about then what you can do when you're educated, and you talk about community service, and you talk about other things. So, I mean, this is what actually what we are talking about.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Rubal has written a very nice comment, and let me read her comment. Education is the most important in the life. बहुत अच्छा रूबल, thank you. मनीषा ने लिखा है, we need SQ and AQ. Good, thank you. Jamku Devi School, welcome. Man Singh, welcome from Lotus Petal Senior School. We have people from Jamku Devi, and the beautiful part is I celebrate Friday as a special day for our special projects, because I think these are the people who are loving reading. And thank you to all of you. I bow down to every teacher present here. Thank you so much. So let's explore ahead and see what we can read ahead. So after this is not the school bell chapter. The next chapter which we are supposed to read, which connects with this chapter, what education does, is exactly this chapter: learning from isolation to collaboration. And what you and me are doing here is also a collaboration, remember that. Learning happens when you begin our journey in the world as individuals and learn to collaborate. No learning will ever occur in isolation. It is a collaborative exercise that perhaps help you become a thinking person. Knowledge is a product, while learning is the relentless pursuit of developing one's abilities and an effort to understand the ways of the world. I'm going to repeat this. People confuse knowledge with learning, people confuse knowledge with education. So, hear me out. Knowledge is a product, while learning is a relentless pursuit of developing one's ability and an effort to understand the ways of the world. And this is where education has to take you. Learning is a process, not an event. आप याद करके एक पोएट्री सीख लेंगे, पोएट्री की पूरी किताब समझ नहीं पाएंगे. Individuals accomplish it, and it is indeed a highly personal experience. Learning is a personal experience. It involves developmental growth and is best understood as the change we go through in our journey of life. The most important point to note is that learning is greater than change. For learning to thrive, we need to adapt. Our mindsets and behavior need to change. Going back to the last chapter, from the beast to humankind, mindset and behavior needs to change. And that's the example of Marines in the last chapter. Now you'll understand why we are reading these chapters in these sequences. In isolation, we are cocooned from the need to move beyond our comfort zone. We need to break out and learn to challenge ourselves to deliver as a team player. Now, that is collaboration. The community is indeed a reflection of individuals that make up the society. It is how we collaborate that brings about transformational change and helps us grow as individuals and as a community too. Here we are. We are a learning community. We are a professional learning community of teachers. And that's what is bringing about the change on the ground level. Like you are experiencing the joy of reading, I am sure this will transmit to every child you meet. So when you go back to a family, go back to an example, teach a man how to fish, they always say that. You may fish and give him a fish to eat. He'll eat and forget. So, like you teachers, we are hoping that you will enjoy the art of reading. And if you enjoy the art of reading, you will read better. When you will read better, people will hear you out. They'll think. And when they'll think, that's where relationships are born. And that's the whole idea of education. Building absolutely beautiful relationship. That's education. A school of ants, when ants collect together, is called school. A school of ants can work to move the largest obstacle. But in isolation, a single ant may not have the wherewithal to make a difference. Ant societies have a division of labor, communication between individuals, and the ability to solve complex problems. These parallels with human societies have long been an inspiration and subject of study. Humans are social beings and need to connect, communicate, collaborate, and create. I've said this time and off. First thing is connect. Second thing is communicate. Third is collaborate. And fourth is create. Some of you will know what I'm going to say. In the dictionary, connect comes first, communicate comes second, collaborate comes third, and create comes fourth. Learning will only happen when we work together. The human form is itself brought about when the isolated sperm meets the egg, thus further confirming the fact that isolation is not the DNA of any life form. In isolation, life can't blossom. Yes, scientists and even gurus in their quest may want a peaceful abode. Their work will only reach the collaborators when they spread the word to help them. A teacher in a class is a learner first and then a mentor. and no teacher can work in isolation. Learning, being a social exercise, helps us make a better world. In Love, the Key to Optimism, Path Towards Happiness, Roshan D. Bondekar says, let's read this out now. Learning is the act of acquiring new or modified and reinforcing existing behavior, knowledge, behavior, skills, values, or preferences, and may involve synthesizing different types of information. So, learning is a synthesis. The ability to learn is possessed by humans, animals, and some machines. Progress over time tends to follow learning curves. Learning is not compulsory, it is contextual. It does not happen all at once, but builds upon and is shaped by what we already know. To that end, learning may be viewed as a process rather than a collection of factual and procedural knowledge. So, this explains what is rote and what is learning. In sociology, we define isolation as the social lack of contact between persons, groups, or whole speech societies. In psychology, it is the failure of an individual to maintain contact with others or genuine communication where interaction with others persists. Both the definitions make it very clear that if there is no cross fertilization of thought and human connectivity, there will be no learning. So that's what learning forward is. We are bringing together people to form learning communities. Learning may occur as a result of habituation or classical conditioning, seen in many animal species. When animals live together, they learn, or as a result of more complex activities such as play, seen only in relatively intelligent animals. Learning may occur consciously or without conscious awareness. And that is the true learning when it happens in an osmotic manner. Learning is the transition from isolation to collaboration. The classroom is the ecosystem for learning, and here the students and the teachers collaborate to further their abilities and grow their knowledge base. The application of knowledge is the real meaning of education, and we all must work for bringing the necessary changes in our lives. So, these two chapters read together are actually best understood together. What education does, the core of education is to further your learning, and learning never stops. So, these are the two chapters we had in mind today to read. I have not planned another chapter, but I want you to think and explain how we work. So, what education does is page 103 in the book. If you go to the reading sheet, in a little while, we will add the video of today's session here in the third column. And similarly, learning from isolation to collaboration is page 114. Manisha ma'am, what is the next session date?
So you're talking about date is 30th.
Next Friday, 30th.
30.
Okay, so let's plan for next Friday. So I will add the next two chapters here. You can check them out. We only need to do one more thing just now, which is to take you to the video channel where these chapters are available. So if you go here, you can see the My Good School video channel. This is on YouTube. So last time we did new teaching and learning approaches. Is that right? So we will add this here. How we are picking up the link? We are copying from here and we are going back to our brewing knowledge sheet. So here we are. So let's add the video here. Now you will find the video of the last session in case you have missed it. You don't have to go anywhere. So we are creating a kind of curriculum to understand why we go to school and what is expected from a school, thereby building the definition of my good school. So this is your reading sheet. I will, in a little while after this session completes, add the next chapter, because I think school bell we have read. Let's look up. Yeah, school bell we read on 28th February. It's 108. So school bell we have read. We will not read, but in case you have missed reading the school bell, you know where to go. There is a video you will find in the same row where it says school bell. You can actually play the video. We also read going to school because we read that with the school bell. Learning from isolation to collaboration, we have read today. We've also read Teachers Travel with You All Your Life, which is page 117. So let's move on. Personal and social development at school. So I think this is the chapter we will read next time. It's called Personal and Social Development at School. And it's very much in sequence because we have today found out what education does and the purpose of learning. So the next step will be for us personal and social development at development or development, whatever you feel like saying, they are both correct as long as you can understand them. This is page number 123. I will also help you find the chapter because you may not have the book. So I'm going to go back to this page. If you don't have the book, you can still read. I'll tell you how you can read. Learning Forward Foundation has a blog, and here we will write we will search. So we talked about quality in it, personal and social development at school. So before I did this book, I actually had a blog which I used to write. So all our knowledge, all our learning is available in open source. So this is the source of the chapter if you wish to read before coming to the next session. And then following that is a beautiful chapter. It's called Real World Learning. So you see how the sequence is going, how the chapters are interlinked and why we are reading them this way. It will become very clear to you. Only when you understand what education does, it will happen learning. When learning happens, you get into a mode of personal and social development. And then what is real world learning? So let me also help you find the real world learning blog. Let's find it. So I'm going to share this tab with you. Real. I'm trying to do all this thing practically with you so that you know how to search on a blog. So real world learning. So you will find a chapter here and there's a beautiful picture here. This is not there in the book. So sometimes blog will give you references. It will give you connections. It'll tell you a little more. There's a beautiful picture here. You may want to reflect on that. Do you see this picture here, sir?
Yeah.
Devgan sir, can you see the picture?
Yeah.
See, this is what real world learning does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You have such a magnifying impact.
Yeah.
And this picture was taken after a lot of deep thought.
Uh-huh.
So it's a road which is endless on gravel. It's on a river bed.
Yeah.
And it's a shadow, an evening shadow of a person. That's what learning impact is. Your impact goes way beyond you can imagine because you can't catch with your shadow or you can't catch with your reflection, in whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
So this will be the reference for the chapter. I will copy this from here. I'll go back to the sheet and I'll add the reference here. So Manisha ji, I think we are done for today.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
But
so
a very interesting thought came to me
sir,
that looking at that picture,
sir,
and looking at the shadow, I was just thinking that if it is morning, then he's facing east because the shadow is falling behind him. And if it is evening, he's facing west because the shadows behind.
Absolutely. So he is facing west in this case. It's an evening long shadow. So both ways, the morning will also give you a long shadow. You beautifully said that. This is the power of observation, sir. So it's not just
Yes.
merely reading the book. Actually, I should
Yeah.
share this once again so that people can look at this deeply from that perspective. Let me share this once again. Do you get the picture?
Yeah.
So it's talking about life, it's talking about reflection, and it's telling you to think. And the word reflection, it's so beautifully illustrated in this picture. आप
Mm.
तो साया पानी में देखते हैं, पर साया तो जमीन पे भी बनता है. कभी आपने इस चीज को सोचा? और जो जमीन पे साया बनता है वो बिल्कुल हिलता नहीं. जो पानी पे साया बनता है वो हिलता भी है. सोचिए, ये सब सोचने की बातें हैं. और इसलिए हम आपको गुजारिश करते हैं कि रिफ्लेक्शन कीजिए. अगर आप चाहें, आप इस सेशन के बाद भी पोस्ट लिख सकते हैं, अपने आप से सवाल पूछ सकते हैं. और कुदरत का देखो क्या अजूबा. अब हम पढ़ ज्यादा रहे हैं, लिख कम रहे हैं. ये कैसे हो गया हमारे माई गुड स्कूल में, टीचर्स एकेडमी में? जैसे हमने अपने पढ़ने के सेशन बढ़ाए, हमारा लिखना कम हो गया. मनीषा मैम,
True, sir.
ये भी एक अजूबा है. सोचिए, आप जब यहाँ आते हैं, आपको यहाँ आने की जरूरत नहीं है कायदे से, क्योंकि वीडियो है. आप यहाँ आते हैं क्योंकि हम आपके अंदर एक सोच का बीज बोते हैं. और वो सोच का बीज तभी पेड़ बनेगा जब आप उसको सींचेंगे, जब आप उसको उसकी परवरिश करेंगे. उस सोच के बीज की वो कैसे होगा? जब आप रिफ्लेक्शन करेंगे, जब आप लिखेंगे, जब आप अपने से रिश्ता कायम करेंगे, तभी तो आप अपने आप को ढूंढ पाएंगे. कि आप सिर्फ 10 सवाल याद करके, 10 जवाब दे के, 10 नंबर दे के हर एक बच्चे को पास कर देंगे. वो बच्चा कहां तक जाएगा? ये सवाल आपको जवाब देना है. सो मेरी गुजारिश आप सबसे है, आप कोशिश कीजिए, रिफ्लेक्शंस जरूर बनाइए. आई एम
Uh,
शेयरिंग
Sandeep,
मनीष जी. या,
sir, did you see Rubal ma'am has wonderfully written education is very important for our life.
एब्सोल्युटली. एंड आई fully appreciate what Rubal has said.
Rubal ma'am is from Atafut Academy.
जी जी, आई एब्सोल्युटली अप्रिशिएट दैट. मैं जरा एक बुकमार्क लगा दूं बिफोर वी फॉरगेट.
Yes, sir. Rubal ma'am, आप कैमरा ऑन करके कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे? Rubal ma'am.
दैट्स ओके मैम, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. सो ये बहुत अच्छा लिखा. हाँ, दैट्स ओके. हाँ, गुड. थैंक यू रूबल. आई एम ग्लैड यू कुड say no ma'am. I think that's a very good thing. I saw what you just wrote, because it's very good when you can take a decision, and that's what education does. You can take a decision at the moment, and that is education. So I'm sure today's two chapters will help you look at what you, as an education ambassador, as a teacher, as a transformer, as a nation builder, as an individual who mentors and brings up so many children, who brings up generations maybe ahead, think about it, what education does. Minakshi, you want to add something?
Well, as a, education, I think it changes a life completely and absolutely. As long as we think that education is all about literacy, it's a different thing. But the moment we start taking education for what it really is, it actually converts a life into something that we can't even imagine of. It broadens our horizon to such an extent that and it keeps on broadening further and further. You feel that it's just like the horizon. You feel it has come and it never, you can never reach it. The further you go, the more you have to learn. And it's a great feeling, I think. I mean, and I'm so happy that some of our teachers are also beginning to realize this, and they're coming and trying to broaden their horizons. I'm very proud of Rubal for having come here, and all of the teachers as well, because we all colleagues by the end of it, whether they belong to my school or some other school. It's nice to see people here trying to understand what education is and reflect on it. That's all that I'll say.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Manisha, please read Suman ma'am's comment. Suman ma'am
Education
has a
is,
comment.
yeah, education raises rational citizen.
Good. And I'm glad you linked education to citizenship, because that is the biggest challenge we face in India. We are not able to link education to citizenship. Thank you, Suman, for this very powerful connection, because ultimate goal is we become better citizens. And that's the goal of education. I'm glad you discovered that. Manisha has given her email. She would love to receive reflections. और आप गुरु दक्षिणा देना चाहते हैं तो प्लीज एक वॉइस मैसेज ही भेज देना हमको, अगर आप लिखना नहीं चाहते तो हम उसको भी कुछ ना कुछ बना सकते हैं। आपके व्हाट्सएप में 2 लिंक हमने डाले हैं, एक तो बुकमार्क अगले हफ्ते के लिए, और दूसरा जो रीडिंग शीट है वो कैसे चल रही है उसको आप फॉलो कर सकते हैं। हमने आपके लिए ये रिसोर्स बनाया है परमानेंट। ये रीडिंग शीट हमेशा रहेगी, ये ब्लॉग पोस्ट हमेशा रहेंगे। तो आज जैसे आप हमारे साथ ये सेशन कर रहे हैं, आप अपने स्कूल में जाके और टीचर्स के साथ भी कर सकते हैं। आपको हमारी जरूरत नहीं है। और जब हम दुनिया को इस उम्मीद से खड़ा करते हैं कि दुनिया को हमारी जरूरत नहीं है, तब हम सच्चे इंसान बन जाते हैं। और जब तक हम सोचते हैं कि दुनिया को हमारी जरूरत है और हमको दुनिया की जरूरत है, उसमें कोई सच्चाई नहीं है। सबसे बढ़िया चीज ये है कि आप और हम जो कर्म करें, उस कर्म की खुशबू छोड़ के जाएं। ये बहुत जरूरी चीज है, और वो है एजुकेशन। हम रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर को क्यों याद करते हैं, गांधी को क्यों याद करते हैं आज? बिकॉज दे गिव अस सो मच लर्निंग फॉर लाइफ, एंड दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट वी टॉक ऑफ टुडे। अगली बार हम बात करेंगे आपके पर्सनल और सोशल डेवलपमेंट के लिए। मतलब आप सोसाइटी के साथ कैसे अपने एजुकेशन का व्यवहार, कैसे अपनी एजुकेशन को सोसाइटी में अप्लाई कर सकते हैं और अपने आप को बेहतर बना सकते हैं। थैंक यू रूबल, वेलकम जीनत, गॉड ब्लेस यू। आई हैव नथिंग मोर टू ऐड। Manisha has written something. Manisha, read out what you wrote so that everyone can hear.
Today's session was actually wonderful. It gave me a new perspective. I realized how important it is to pause, think, and connect the learning with real life experiences. It helped me understand not just what I learned, but why it matters. The first
Devgan sir,
question which
last
came
word.
to my mind was why we go to school, and it's still there.
Yeah. Devgan sir, last word.
अब मैं तो यही कहना चाहूंगा जो सारे टीचर्स हैं कि जो हम क्लास में पढ़ाते हैं वो सब्जेक्ट तो है, वो तो पढ़ाना ही है, बच्चों के मार्क्स आने हैं, ये सब कुछ। पर जो दिमाग में रखना है कि बहुत जरूरी है कि जो हमारे बच्चे हैं वो कैसे इंसान बन रहे हैं, जो अभी आप
Exactly.
सिटीजनशिप की बात कर रहे थे, वो बहुत जरूरी है। और ये सारा जो आज हम बात कर रहे थे, इसी की बात कर रहे थे कि पढ़ाई के अलावा स्कूल क्यों जाते हैं, और ये चीजें बहुत बहुत जरूरी हैं कि बच्चे अच्छे इंसान बने। थैंक यू।
Thank you, everyone. Time to go home. Our 45 minutes are up. We've enjoyed being here. Thank you, Blossom Schools, Aligarh. The recording will be available. Please use it. Please use the recordings and the material in your WhatsApp groups. It's all yours. And that's why we create this resource. That's the idea of building or taking learning forward. Devan sir, thank you. We bow down to you.
Thank you very much.
I'm
Lovely
so
session.
glad you came today, and I'm sure you'll understand why every session of ours is so unique.
Yes.
People ask me, why do you read 3 times a week? I say, we don't read 3 times a week. We learn 3 times a week.
Right.
So Thursday is different, Friday is different, and Saturday is yet very different. But they all have one thing in common. हम कैसे बेहतर टीचर बने, हम कैसे खुश मिजाज टीचर बने। हैप्पी टीचर्स। थैंक यू
Right.
एवरीवन। बाय बाय।
Thank
सी
you
यू
so
at
much.
Bye.
school tomorrow.
Sir.